It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions.
Touchdown, San Diego!
Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do. You do. From the Dixie Line Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, coming off a great sports weekend, we welcome you to Hacksaw's Headlines. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hamilton, along with my co-host, John Riley, with his opinions from left field. We invite you to enjoy what's coming up in the next couple of hours, our Monday bonus podcast. Podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers. 9 locations in San Diego to serve you. Got products, they've got materials, they've got ideas. They can be your best friend. Just to find out what Dixie Line Lumber is all about, it's more than a lumber company. Go to dixieline.com. John Riley, I don't know if you play golf. I enjoy golf. I really enjoy the Masters. And we're going to tee it up there because that's going to be the first topic on the table. But, man, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of drama at Augusta. And Rory comes back a second time, so looking forward to breaking that one down.
Yeah, we got that. We got baseball to talk about. We got all kinds of stories because here come the NBA playoffs. Hockey Hotline is going to be open for business. We're going to go a lot of different directions, soccer included. A reminder, we do sports talk the way it should be done. Topics on the table, and then opinions, and then you are invited to take over control of the podcast. We started something 4 years ago on this podcast. It's just exploded. It's called Fans Forum. Your chance to join us at the end of the podcast with questions, answers, statements, and in some degrees, cheap shots. John, how does Fans Forum work?
Well, I already see who's loaded in there. Michael, and I see Matt DeBeast have already joined us in Fans Forum. So if you've got a question or comment in the world of sports, for Hacksaw, for me, for anybody, just drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, X, or Facebook. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
Full disclosure. You're not wearing silver and silver and black, are you?
Well, NFL draft's coming up soon, right, man? You got to get ready.
Or you can cop out my excuse. That was the cleanest thing in the closet.
There's that too. Yeah, this is my Fernando Mendoza outfit for that day.
Silver and bleak. The guy's dressed in silver and bleak. What do you think about that? we need a set of fashion rules here. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, let's get started. Topic 1. All things Green Jacket, all things Augusta. Or is that some Sunday?
Yeah, dreams and nightmares, but it was Rory all the way.
Let's talk about Rory McIlroy. They are cheering. Pubs probably stayed open all night in Dublin, in Londonderry, in Belfast. The guy came from modest means and has made himself an icon on the PGA Tour. What a roller coaster ride for that guy, Rory McIlroy. I mean, you think back. We talked about the start of the tournament. No Tiger, no Phil. The refugees from the LIV were coming back. Some of them were playing well. Rory had a back injury. Who's going to grab this thing by the throat? That was going in Thursday. Then Friday, Rory had 9 birdies. He took a 6-stroke lead after the cut into Saturday, and it all evaporated. It was amazing. Saturday, he hit 4 tee shots into the pine trees, into the azaleas, into the gallery, quote, patrons, twice. He lost the lead. Sunday, putter disappeared at the onset. He was in second place, then he was in third place, then he was 2 strokes back. I said, uh-oh. And then he rallied. Back-to-back birdies. Then he made 2 pressure-packed par putts to retain the lead, and he goes on to win. That was impressive. And then the outpouring from the gallery, a.k.a. the patrons, that's what the memo from the master says. You must refer to them as the patrons. The outpouring from the patrons was spectacular. I freeze-framed on TV. The gallery patrons was 15 rows deep. So he wins it, and then he makes the march up to the room where they do the scorecard and the signature. And the accolades, the outpouring of emotion from everybody was just amazing. And then, of course, he goes on to Butler's cabin for the presentation of the green jacket, then back out to the 18th hole for the public presentation. I mean, it was spectacular. And it really dawned on me, he's become the fans' man.
Yes.
He's become what Tiger used to be, what Phil Mickelson used to be, and he's earned it. Nothing's been given to this middle-class golfer from the country of Ireland. And not only were the accolades phenomenal from the patrons, virtually every one of the group that played on Sunday, final groups, who came from the UK, stayed by the scorer's tent to shake his hand and hug him. You talk about
nice.
Respect.
Nice.
It was really spectacular. And there were guys that made runs at him. I mean, I was pretty impressed along the way. Scotty Scheffler, whose game had been meddling for a couple of weeks, got hot. But then he went 11 holes without a birdie and just kind of couldn't catch up. Justin Rose, who won out here at Torrey Pines back in the spring, he had 3 birdies in a row, 4 birdies at 8 holes, ready to make a move, and he hit 2 bad tee shots, kind of took him out of the mix. Cam Young at one point was 11 under, but then he bogeyed 6, 7, and 9. He never caught up. And Tyrrell Hatton out of England looks like a great golfer, power golfer, hothead, loses his composure. He had 6 birdies and an eagle, but he couldn't catch them. And the one constant is McIlroy does not unravel through bad times and does not seem to lose his mind when he makes great shots. There's just an even modicum of emotion with him, which allows him to stay the course, just play the next hole, etc. And he goes on to get the win. It was fabulous. And a side comment I'll pose about this. Something felt different to me on the telecast of the Masters, and I don't know what it was. There seemed to be a lot of peripheral junk that CBS forced on that telecast. And Jim Nantz didn't quite feel like Jim Nantz. There seemed to be too much other noise, other voices, aside from the analyst on the course. I was a little bit disappointed. Social media was really critical. I can't pinpoint exactly. It just had a really different feel, kind of a weird, overreactive feel, like there's too much noise. The golf is what's important, not the vignettes and the music, every hole, virtually every shot, etc. End of the day, that's the new fans' man. That's really special what he's done, and he earned it. Nothing in his life coming out of Ireland has ever been easy. And I'll guarantee you, because I've been to Belfast, and I've been to all those other cities. I bet you those pubs never, ever closed last night. What a great honor. What'd you see? What'd you think? What'd you feel?
Well, I remember seeing a video clip of the men over his country club, his local club.
Yeah.
And they're all like fired up for him and everything, and that's terrific. I mean, you say you've been to Belfast and Dublin. Have you ever been to Augusta?
No. That's one thing on my bucket list I haven't never gotten to yet.
Yeah, and I mean, that would be definitely a bucket list opportunity. The thing with Rory that's kind of cool is, he's a fans man because I think he's like very relatable, He seems like a guy that you can sort of understand.
He's simple.
Yeah, well, not, but he's just, it's not that he's simple. It's just that he's a regular guy, with family issues and things going on.
There's no errors.
Yeah, because a lot of golfers are like, arm's length. You can't penetrate. Like Scotty Scheffler, as good of a golfer he has a very little pizzazz to his personality.
Laid back.
Yeah. So, Rory's very relatable. But hey, what the hell with Sergio Garcia? He was going nuts.
Well, there were a bunch of tantrums. I mean, Garcia smashed his club on a podium or something, and he got a warning from the judge right there. Robert McIntyre from Scotland lost his mind on Friday. He stood over the hole after missing putts, and he gave it the finger. And then he went on a cursing spree, and he threw his clubs 3 times. He's probably going to get fined.
Good.
There is a level of deportment there, so some guys didn't hold up emotionally very well.
Wow.
What'd you think of the telecast? Did you get a sense something felt different, or is that just me?
Well, I was only kind of watching it in and out. You probably watched it nonstop. Because this is a big-time event. But for me, it was just the same vibe. It's just, it's a lot of cinematography, at Masters, which I've come to expect. And by the way, I saw a video clip of the Chicago Cubs announcers were opening up their ball game with that whole Jim Nantz vibe, of like the Masters. They were doing it for a baseball game, which is fun. But from what I saw, it was just kind of typical. Was it? What did you think it was crazy or out of line?
There seemed to be so much noise, so many interjections of this flash, this piece of audio, this piece of video, this promo piece. I thought it kind of impacted the flow of Jim Nantz and the drama on the course because they kept interjecting all the side stuff.
We're going to get you in the truck, pushing the buttons like Chet 40.
Oh,
you could make that telecast something.
It's just, to me, it was a little bit overwhelming. And then towards the end, it got agitating because there were so many, quote, interruptions to what the storyline is. And the storyline was Rory. So if you're a golf fan, feel free, jump in here. Did you sense the same thing I sensed about the presentation on the Masters? Because social media just kind of went haywire late last night, just with reactions to what they saw. How do you view Rory? And by the way, speaking of no Tiger, New York Daily News is reporting that Tiger Woods has told associates that he's ashamed, he's embarrassed, and he's really angry at people on the PGA Tour, the other golfers, who have now used the word accountability as it relates to what Tiger has now gotten himself into. Tiger, of course, is in Zurich, Switzerland for an extended stay in a rehab center for obvious drug addiction. They've suspended his driver's license. They've subpoenaed all of his medication records. This case is not going away. The judge has been very stand-up in Jupiter, Florida. This is going to go to trial. Daily News is reporting that Tiger feels he's, quote, being picked on. Scorecard does not show that. Scorecard shows 4 accidents, either alcohol or substance abuse related, and you talked your way or you celebrated your way out of charges. I don't think he's going to get off this one. End of the day, I said on KUSI on Saturday morning, Tiger Woods has triple bogeyed his life, his health, and his credibility by what his life has become. Your reaction to Tiger, if you're a golf fan. We haven't had as many people interact with us on the Tiger Woods story. Feel free, jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open to talk Masters, to talk Rory, and obviously to talk about Tiger Woods. That's all things golf. Let's go from there. We got Padre baseball with bullet points and headlines everywhere, John.
Yeah, wins but losses. How's Nick Pivetta doing?
Let's talk about this. Padres on a hot streak. Padres sweep the Rockies. Padres have won 9 of their last 11. That's great. So they're in second place in the West. But understand this. They did this against a Rockies team that has woeful pitching. They did it against a young Pittsburgh Pirates staff, aside from Paul Skeens, that doesn't hold up very much. Did it against the Red Sox, who stumbled out of the gate and don't have enough arms, and they didn't see Garrett Crochet in that series. That being said, those are wins. We take them. Really concerned about the Pivetta situation. Him walking off the mound in the top of the 4th inning. I saw him in the first inning. That kind of alarmed me, and nobody talked about it till after the fact. I saw him in the first inning come off the mound and shake his arm as if something didn't feel right. Now, he stayed out there, and he retired 9 in a row, and then we got to the top of the 4th, and he threw a curveball with a lot of bite, and he was done. And you could tell something happened in the elbow. Immediately they pulled him from the game. Now, he didn't want to talk about it in the clubhouse. He gave no specifics at all, which is too bad because these are questions those of us as journalists need to ask. Give us an answer. They turned it under the cloud cover elbow stiffness, but that could be a lot of different things. Was it stiffness? Was it tightness? Was it a shooting pain? Did he hear a pop on that one pitch he threw in the 4th? All he indicated was he did not feel right during the course of the start. All Craig Stammen said is this is kind of a throwback to what happened in spring training. But in spring training, they told us it was the shoulder. It was shoulder fatigue. It was not elbow. We'll find out maybe tonight whether or not they've decided to do an MRI. But I'll tell you, the elbow impingement, if there was a pop, that means there's something more significant there. This is not a good sign. And this comes on the heel of the loss of Jeremiah Estrada, who has got elbow problems. He's gone on the disabled list. He's right now does not have the velocity nor the location that kid had last year. On top of that, the strangeness of Adrian Morion, who's got a 10.80 ERA, is getting banged all over the place. Walker Buehler, how about that? 5 shutout innings, and they pulled him, and the Padres went on to win. Now, that was vintage Buehler. So, again, this to me, with Buehler and even his running mate, German Marquez, I guess this is just going to be a start-to-start situation to see if they find a comfort level and a consistency level going forward. End of the day, I'm really concerned about the Padres staff, because if you got guys nicked up, you don't have replacements really waiting. Matt Waldron is first in line if the phone rings in El Paso. He's thrown 12 shutout innings. Knuckleball dancing, but that's in the Pacific Coast League. Griff Canning has got a 3.18 in 2 starts in El Paso, but I was told he needs at least 2 more starts with no setbacks. Lower down the line, because we do pay attention to the younger prospects. This is a bit of a mystery to me, but he's young. I understand it. Number 1 draft pick, Cruz Schoolcraft, pulled in the first inning of both of his starts at Lake Elsinore. Can't get out of the first inning. He's thrown an inning and 2/3, John. Schoolcraft, the number 1 pick, has given up 10 runs, 6 walks, 6 hits. Not good. Top prospect Ethan Salas, catching every pitch at San Antonio AA. He's hitting $158. And because of ABS, we get to keep a separate scorecard on the umpires. Whoa, Hunter Wendelstadt. 9 pitches overruled behind home plate in Saturday's game. Not so good. 9 pitches they challenged and won over the balls and strikes. I said, John, I threw a lot at you. Give me your response to Pivetta, your response to who's waiting in the wings. What do you read of Buehler, Marquez, etc.? Take it.
Well, let's talk first with the winning, because they are winning. And you say, yeah, they played the Rockies, but they're winning the games they're supposed to win. Okay. And a lot of times Padres don't win the games they're supposed to win, and that's what drives us bananas. But a sweep of the Rockies, and they've got actually some pretty good middle relievers that can bring it. They're throwing like 100. That Dollinger kid, he's pretty good. So their pitching has improved a lot, and Moniak hitting home runs. I mean, so that Colorado roster, we swept them, but there's something there, as far as they're building. I can sense a sense of building. But Padres not are just simply in second place in the NL West. They have the second best record in all of baseball. Now, granted, of course, Dodgers are number 1, but there's a lot to like here. There's been a lot more slug. And so I'm just generally optimistic. Now, they're about to play Seattle, and that's going to be a difficult, 3-game series with those guys, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But I don't know. Generally, as a Padre fan, I'm feeling pretty good. Now, this Pivetta thing, this could be awful. In my opinion, in a best-case scenario, he's probably going to go on the injured list for some period of time, just arrested and, go through a little bit of, treatment. So, yeah, it's going to be Waldron and it's going to be Canning, and those are depth pieces that you wanted. I'm feeling good about Buehler. Buehler seems to be figuring out, how to pitch without having the 99-mile-an-hour fastball. So, and then Marquez was, he's still kind of, he's a number 5 starter. So I'm not as worried about the pitching as you are, but there's not endless depth.
Well, if something significant happens to Pivetta, because if he's got a twinge or he pops something in the elbow, that's a sign of something in the forearm.
Yeah.
That's a big concern.
Yes, it is.
Second item, can't believe I'm sitting next to somebody wearing silver and black. Anyhow, the second item, if your sales pitching me that we're going to play 162 games and it's going to be Waldron, Marquez, and Buehler as key components of my rotation, my response is, uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's a concern. But, Buehler is looking better. Waldron can throw the knuckleball, and he can also throw 95 miles an hour. So he's got a lot going on there. So, but yeah, it is a legit concern. Pivetta is the number one starter. So to me, this could be very bad in a worst case scenario, like out for the year, Tommy John. But in a best case, it's not like he's going to pitch 4 days from now. They're going to have to put him on the injured list and work with him. So they're going to have to promote somebody. And I think that somebody's Waldron.
Exactly. That's the starting point. Okay, that's all things Padres baseball. Man, when he came off the mound, my heart went, oh, my goodness, not him, too.
Yeah, he had a no-hitter going.
Yeah. He had retired the first 9 guys that he had faced. Padre fans forum chat box is open. Give us an opinion. Is this a red flag? All of a sudden, we got a warning light here. We got a problem with the engine that drives the Padres. Pitching staff, feel free to get involved. Let's go from that topic. Talk about the other teams that we always talk about because we are baseball-centric.
Yeah, we are. Now let's talk about the Dodgers and the Angels.
Home run derby.
All right.
First thing I look at when I go to the out-of-town scoreboard is the box score, how many bombs. The Dodgers are averaging 6 runs per game. The Dodgers have 28 home runs in 15 games this season. And a whole pile of the guys aren't hitting for average at all. But the Dodgers continue to win. The Dodgers are in first place. And I'll tell you that the biggest surprise, Andy Paz is hitting .437.
Wow.
A year ago this week, they were about to send him to Oklahoma City. He was hitting .117. He's hitting .437 with some pop. Now, they're not immune to problems because they got problems. Edwin Diaz has lost 2 miles an hour velocity. Is there something going on with his arm? They don't know yet, but he's had 2 bad outings in a row. Sasaki, his ERA is still almost 7. They left him out on the mound. I could not believe that Dave Roberts just sending him back out there. Sasaki, in 13 innings of starts, John, has given up 14 hits, 10 walks. That's 24 base runners in 13 innings, 3 bombs. His ERA is almost at 7. That's a big issue. A little bit of question mark. Kyle Tucker's bat discipline at home plate is really terrible. He's swinging at so much junk out of the zone, which doesn't make any sense considering he's surrounded by so many good people. Ohtani's hitting home runs. That's pretty impressive, too. A couple of other Dodger notes. We talked about this guy 3 weeks ago. His agent finally has responded. Scott Boras says that Julio Urias, the left-handed pitcher, who was 65-20 before he got suspended a second time for domestic abuse, is indeed in Chihuahua, Mexico, is not playing baseball.
Wow.
And Boras says he's not been told by the player that he's to open negotiations with anybody. I wonder if Urias had just lost interest in playing baseball because Boras says there are teams that have contacted him, but he doesn't have the green light to talk to anybody. And remember this guy? The red beard, third baseman, Justin Turner?
Yeah, the AM/PM guy.
Yeah, Justin Turner has just signed a contract at age 39 with Tijuana Toros in the Mexican League. Nobody picked him up in the offseason. My theory is he has not hit well the last 2 years. He's probably lost his bat speed, and that's Father Time collecting the toll booth due him. But Justin Turner is going to play in Mexico. So that's all things Dodgers baseball. Angels, this is impressive. I'm not sure how they're doing this. They're 8-8. They got 4 wins on the road already this season. Nolan Chanel, 4 RBIs, big hits yesterday. Trout, extra base hits, swinging a pretty good stick. And Jose Soriano has emerged as not only the top starter in the Angel rotation, he's the top pitcher in the American League. struck out 10 on the weekend. He's got a 4-0 record with a 0.33 ERA.
Amazing.
Now, he's the only one that's been dominant on the Angels staff bullpen, still springing leaks. So let's talk Dodgers, home run derby, Sasaki, what they're trying to do or letting him do to figure it out. You want to talk about the Angels? John, dress the way you are. The podium belongs to you.
You're the fashion critic every time. The Sasaki thing is interesting. I was looking at the box score in the last game, and I think he went 4 innings and gave up, if I'm trying to remember them, I do my math right. Was it 5 hits and 5 walks? So
Yep.
that's a lot of traffic, you
Yes.
know? That's like, 2 to 3 base runners per inning that are on the bases. I mean, you just can't be effective when you got that many guys, that are on the base paths.
You can't control a splitter. They say his mechanics get out of sync, and they're leaving him out there to throw a lot of pitches, which I don't think from a health standpoint is really good.
But he was nothing like this when he pitched in Japan, was he?
No.
I mean, I saw him perform for Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic, and I'm like, wow, this kid, he's going to be a great Major League Baseball player. And I was really bummed out when the Padres weren't able to get him in that deal. But I don't know, maybe it's got to be something in his head,
Well, his mechanics are flawed, and they've tried to polish a third pitch, and he just can't control it. And he's behind in the count virtually every batter. Like I say,
Wow.
13 innings, 24 base runners, 3 bombs.
Wow.
That's as you would say, a lot of traffic on the base paths. Okay, Dodger Angel fans, get in line. Fans Forum, tell us what you think about those topics. Got a couple of other baseball notes here to talk about, John, in the notebook.
Yeah, we'll bring up the Major League Baseball notebook with the Astros.
Do you remember the right-handed pitcher we talked extensively about all winter long, Tatsuya Imai?
Yes.
He's on the disabled list. Imai, last start, they left him out there to throw 37 pitches in 1 inning, Houston did. And he's just not pitching well. In 8 innings, Imai, this is Sasaki syndrome. In 8 innings, 9 hits, 11 walks. His ERA is almost 8. And now he's got a shoulder problem after just 2 starts in the major leagues. The other Japanese guy, Muntaka Murakami, White Sox.
Oh, he's a slugger.
That's right. He's got 4 home runs. They benched him.
Really?
He's hitting 159,
Ooh, Dave Kingman.
21 strikeouts, 44 at-bats.
Oh, my God.
Dave Kingman, yes. So they're trying to help him figure out the strike zone. He can't catch up with a fastball. Pittsburgh. Baseball's morning. Scrap iron has passed away. Phil Garner, long-time Major League second baseman, 16 years. Astros, Pirates, A's among them. And then he managed for 15 more years, starting in Milwaukee, Houston, others. Passed away at the age of 76, bitter fight with cancer. Scrap iron has passed away. Unique story in Colorado. We've talked about the mismanagement, the lack of financing, the terrible lack of vision, the lousy front office, the development of the Rockies. The Monfort family has sold 40% minority control to Greg Penner, the owner of the NFL Denver Broncos.
Cool.
And there's an option for the Penners to buy out the Monforts if the Monforts want to sell. So down the road, maybe there is some hope that there'll be different leadership to fix what could be a great regional franchise. Because all they have more recently is non-playoff teams and back-to-back 100-loss seasons. John, you want to talk about Imai? He's got the same set of circumstances with Sasaki, and take it from there.
The Sasaki syndrome. It is interesting how, as baseball fans and teams, they all think they're going to get lightning in a bottle with the next Shohei Ohtani, from Japan. And some of the guys turn out, and some of them don't.
It takes time.
Yeah. So, and these guys are young, especially these pitchers. So the White Sox, that's Is that Murakami?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mutaka.
Mutaka Murakami. I mean, that's nuts. I mean, you're striking out like half the time. I mean, that didn't get it done. Phil Garner, I remember him originally as the second baseman for the Oakland A's, I think in their third World Series championship, because they had, I think, was it Dick Green that played second base for a while, but then Phil Garner went and played second, and then I remember he moved to the Brewers as a player, and didn't he eventually manage there?
Yes.
And then I think he ended up managing again in Pittsburgh. So we've lost Lopes and
Garner
and Phil Garner. That's two. Those are two dudes.
The only word I can think about when I think of Garner is it's an old baseball term, pepper pot. That's the way he played the game.
Pepper pot. What do you mean by that?
I don't know. It's an old baseball term about a grinder.
Yeah. I mean, they always call him scrap iron. I mean, he just seemed like, I don't know, he was a second baseman. And
couldn't get him out of the lineup.
Yeah, he was good. He was a good player. And then, by the way, the Rockies, I mean, that's great news for Rocky fans that Monfort is willing to give up some of this team, because the problem in Denver for all these years has been the owner, just making goofy moves. Now, the fact that they got Pivetta to get in there as the GM, that's a positive move. Getting the Broncos ownership in there, that's a positive move. So hopefully things start to change.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt they're going to try to stock this roster with, quote, Moneyball 2.0 players. Pivetta is the president of baseball operations. Josh Burns, longtime executive, ex-Dodger, assistant GM, ex-Padre general manager from Arizona Diamondbacks. Josh Burns is actually calling the roster shots. I think that's a consortium of pretty intelligent people. But you don't fix this thing with a snap of the fingers. This is a long-term process.
Yeah, but you're doing something right for a change.
I concur with you. You're a baseball fan? Fans Forum chat box is open for you to join us. We go from that. Let's talk Aztec basketball. Looking for San Diego State for life fans to listen up to what I've got to say. What do you think? I tell you, it's been volatile.
Yeah, there's more guys going in the portal.
Let's talk about the Aztecs. They lose Taj DeGorville. Becomes the sixth to jump into the portal. This is a setback. Farrell Compton is now gone. He is committed to sign at the University of Oregon. Obviously, last week, Miles Bird was the first one off the ship. He went to Providence, and Magoon Gwath has confirmed he's talking to the University of Kentucky as a one-year rental. As of this hour, Brian Dutcher may have 8 holes on his roster to fill. He did pick up one big man who's got 1 year of eligibility. 1 year probably is not enough to be a difference maker for Bear Cherry. 6'11", 250. Bounced all over the place, was at Vegas, was competitive, went to Sacramento State, but that's Big Sky Conference. Played JUCO. History of injury, but that's the first guy on board. We're led to believe they're going to make a deal to go get another big guy from Europe. How Brian Dutcher does not feel betrayed. I said this on KUSI on Saturday morning. How does he not feel betrayed? He took all these players. He developed all these players. And these players jumped ship on him because of the system. Aztec basketball was built on the philosophy, we over me, collective team. And now me is going from my payday somewhere else, regardless of whether or not I'm going to be a star or I can fit, I'm going to get my bank. How could Brian not be betrayed by that? His record's 220-79, culture, good coach, cares about his kids, academics, and they're all jumping ship. I don't know. You're an Aztec fan. You feel betrayed? I'm looking for San Diego State fans, friends, and alums. Tell me what you think. What you think about what's happened to the basketball program. New Mexico Lobos. Eric Olin did a really good job 1 year in. He's losing his players too. Jake Hall has jumped ship. The outstanding freshman from Carlsbad, transfer portal. He's lost his center. Tomislav Bujan, the European, signed in Maryland yesterday. Tough setback
How
there.
old's that guy?
Exactly. You'll have to explain this to me. Providence College, that's the logo on the left in the middle. Providence College, in addition to getting Miles Bird, signs a 6'8" guard who spent the last 3 years in the NBA G League.
Oh, and another one of those.
How is Dink Bates qualified to go from the NBA G League? He scored 16 points a game for the Westchester Knicks this winter. How's he supposed to be cleared to go from G League into college basketball? Never played college basketball. Went immediately to G League, where he's ridden the buses and eaten hamburgers for 3 years. That, to me, is really weird. Arizona State, they hired him weeks ago. He has not been at a press conference to be introduced yet. We're talking about Randy Bennett, St. Mary's. Randy Bennett confirmed he was being treated at the Mayo Clinic. I was told it has something to do with heart valve disease, not cancer. But Randy Bennett still has not made a public appearance as the head coach at Arizona State. And down on the bottom, West Coast Conference. It's a done deal. I think it's a good acquisition. WCC adds Cal Santa Barbara as another expansion member. They join UCSD, Denver University, and obviously St. Mary's with the new coaching staff. Gonzaga is gone, but getting UCSB to go to the WCC is important. Surprise, the Big West is retaining Cal Irvine, because the pitch was, hey, from the West Coast Conference, UCSB, UCI, come join us. Instead, Irvine is staying next door to Fullerton, Long Beach State, etc. So that's a bit of a surprise there in college hoops. Okay, your turn. Should Dutcher feel betrayed? And take it from there.
Well, it depends on how you approach this. I mean, if I could see how anyone might feel betrayed by all of his guys leaving, but Dutcher's approach is totally different. That's what makes him such a great guy and a great leader of those young men, is that everyone's in the portal, right? And he knew this was coming, and he knows that the reality is these guys are all seeking better opportunities, and you can't shame a person for doing that. And so I'm sure knew all along that Miles Bird and Magoon Gwath, that they were definitely moving on at the end of the year. But guys like Compton and Goreville, you were kind of hoping they'd stick around. It turns out they went in the portal. You know, Heidi and B.J. Davis are in the portal, but they haven't gotten picked up yet. So some of those guys still might come back. This is sort of kind of going the way that I thought. Now, if it goes to the next level where suddenly Elsie Harrington and Tay Simmons are gone, okay, then I'm going to start, waving a flag. Like, we got a problem here. But in the end, this is just the new nature of college basketball. He even said Lobos are going through the same thing.
So do you want my pen? So you're going to scratch out the word loyalty in college basketball completely, right?
Well, no. It's like the loyalty's got to go both ways. I mean, teams can cut guys. Teams can release guys from scholarships. And so, loyalty goes both ways. And this is a whole new era. And so there's money on the table. These guys may not ever make it to the NBA or really make much money in the pros, but this is their opportunity to cash in. And, so like the Providence example, you've got that guy that's coming up from the G League. He's probably going to make more money playing for Providence, who seemingly has a big wallet that they're dealing out the dole. If there's more money for the guy to be made there. I just think the NCAA needs to kind of firm up the boundary lines on who can play and who's not, and who's pro and who's not. It's just a little bit too loose right now. Feeling for Randy Bennett, yeah, that's a tough one. Hopefully he'll be okay and be able to get the press conference. You see Irvine is foolish for not going into the West Coast Conference. That would have been an upgrade. You get more of the UCs all kind of going together, into the new conference. They're all aligned, academically, and there's a lot to like there. And you'll still have local rivalries for Irvine. It won't be Fullerton or Long Beach, but it might be Loyola Marymount and Pepperdine, and so they still have some local rivalries. So to me, that was kind of a dumb move on Irvine not to make that switch, because I can sense that the Big West, the arrow's slightly pointing down, and the WCC, it's going up. Even with the loss of Gonzaga, it's still going up.
I concur with you. And I think that UCSB's got great credibility. So it leads to stability in the conference.
Yes, very much.
With the Zags exiting. You're into college basketball. I'm looking for San Diego State fan, friend, alum. Agree or disagree with me? Should there have not been more player loyalty? These players owe it to Dutcher because he created their talent level, polished it, and now they turn their back and taking the money. I'm really disappointed for Dutcher.
You're so old school.
I'm loyal.
Yeah. But
okay, end of conversation.
Yeah.
I want to hear from somebody else out there that enjoys this podcast. Whether you buy my sales pitch, his sales pitch, dressed the way he is, feel free. Jump on board. Last basketball topic on the table. We're going from regular season, which we don't pay much attention to here come the playoffs this week, and we're going to pay attention to that.
Yeah, big time. I mean, the NBA changes during the playoffs.
Yeah, Lakers, there's devastating injuries. I mean, they're going to start on the weekend with the Houston Rockets. No Luka, no Austin Reeves. I don't care DeAndre Ayton had 23 points and 10 rebounds against one of the worst teams in the NBA. Doesn't mean crap because his season of credibility starts on Saturday when they play the Houston Rockets in what will be the second round. I don't know if the Lakers, without Doncic and Reeves, can survive. And I don't know how LeBron could play 39 minutes a game without that arthritic foot flaring on him. So that's one issue. Clippers, hell of a job by Tyronn Lue. You know, they were 6-21 at the onset. Traded Harden, traded Zubac, have gone through a bunch of injuries. Ragtag bench and roster. Who the hell are these guys? They finished 42-40, and they're going to be in a playoff game. Going to play Golden State. That starts Wednesday. That's Kawhi Leonard versus Steph Curry. And, of course, obviously, the Warriors roster is not what the Warriors roster used to be, but hell of a job on the big picture, John, to go from 6-21 to 42-40. That's really impressive. Talk, too, if you want, about the playoff matchups. Really interesting. The play-in game, Phoenix with Booker and Dylan Brooks goes against Portland, play-in game. Clippers, Golden State, Kawhi versus Steph Curry, play-in game. The battle of the beat-ups, Philadelphia, Orlando in the East in a play-in game. Orlando's been wrecked by injuries. Philadelphia does not have Joel Embiid. He's just had an appendectomy on top of all the other injuries. He's out. I don't know if Philadelphia's going to have enough players around Tyrese Maxey. And then the last game is going to be phenomenal. Charlotte, which leads the world in three-point baskets, is going to play Miami. So you got Ball and Kneppel, the hot young rookie, just heaving threes every trip down the floor for Charlotte. They'll play Bam Adebayo, Tylen Hero, and the Miami Heat in their play-in game. So that's going to be fun going forward. And the last topic on the table, I know he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I don't know if Doc Rivers is a great NBA coach. He just got bounced by Milwaukee. 3 years of kind of drifting aimlessly up there with Giannis as a superstar. Roster in a state of disrepair. They blew him out last night after he finished 32-50. 97 and 103 in 3 years. Doc Rivers out of the NBA. Flare-ups in the locker room. Giannis happy, unhappy. Not a lot of talent around that superstar. They let the roster fall apart. It's going to be really intriguing. I do like the playoffs. It's a different intensity level. But at the end of the day, if you look at the standings today, look at the standings tomorrow at breakfast. You got Detroit and Boston as the upper echelon in the East. You got Oklahoma City with 64 wins, San Antonio with 62 wins in the West. And I don't think anybody else has a chance of knocking those top four teams off. John, do not turn the ball over. Give me an opinion.
I love the playoffs. Here we go. Because I watched some of the NBA regular season games, and it was just, kind of felt like a waste of time, you know? So,
yeah.
And so now we're kind of in the playoffs, and now it's for real.
You don't get excited about the Washington Wizards with 60 losses playing Sacramento with 59 losses.
Well, I will say this. I mean, just this is like a shout out I'm going to make. How about UC San Diego kid Hayden Gray?
Yep, getting signed.
Yeah, getting signed, playing, and he's playing for the Jazz. They're not going to the playoffs, so that's a big deal for me as a UCSD alumni. Oh my God, there's someone in the NBA that went to my school.
Somebody's got to be a first sometime.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all good. But, you know, the Lakers, you know, I don't know. I mean, this could be like a one and done.
Yeah.
This is not looking good. You know, the Clippers, you know, you got to give credit to Tyronn Lue for turning that thing around because it was freaking fugly, you know, in the early part of the season. And the fact that they turned this thing around, and I haven't confirmed this, but I saw a statistic someone posted online that the Clippers have been above 500 for 15 seasons in a row. Is that true?
Probably, yep.
I mean, that's remarkable given that they haven't ever really
done anything in terms of getting to the NBA West Finals.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, Doc Rivers, he every time I see Doc Rivers interviewed, he's just such a likable guy, such a knowledgeable guy. But when he's a coach, his teams always disappoint, don't you think?
Yeah, postseason disaster.
Yeah, so I don't know. I can see why he gets hired. I just don't understand why he's not as good as he feels like he should be.
Okay, those are basketball topics. Invitation belongs to you. Don't shoot an air ball. Hit a three-point shot with your next opinion. Fans Forum chat box is open. Hey, we get to halftime. Our Monday bonus podcast continues. We're brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you. What I like, aside from the history of Dixie Line, more than 100 years in operation, and the fact that they got stores everywhere, what I like is what they do with windows and what they do with doors, because the two of us have bought windows and doors at Dixie Line Lumber. And, John, this is state-of-the-art stuff.
Yeah, you know what's cool is we got our front door from Dixie Line, and our front door looks like a front door on a castle. You know, and it's got the big rivets, and it's got like a speakeasy, like little door that you can open. And what's neat is that our door, it faces to the south, and so that's where the sun kind of comes. And our previous door was made of real wood, and the sun baked the hell out of it and damaged it, and we didn't want to get it refinished. So we went to Dixie Line and talked about it, and they go, oh, yeah, we have these doors that are made of composite wood, which is, you know, kind of a manufactured kind of a building product. And now that door is sitting in front of the sun all the time, and it never needs any maintenance.
Looks good.
It looks good. So, I mean, that's kind of a really interesting innovation in terms of doors. But there's a lot of, when you go shopping for front doors, you can show some personality. It doesn't need to be just kind of a boring door. You know, some people like to paint their front doors red. Have you ever seen that? So the Dixie Line folks will help you out. They got a huge catalog of options that they can help you order from.
Windows, doors, and a lot of other things, including their tools section. Just go to dixieline.com to see what they have to offer. We are at halftime on this podcast. We're in our fourth year together with opinions, some of them really valid, some of them from left field, dressed the way he is. But at the end of the day, when we're done, because we do sports talk the way it should be done with hot topics and opinions, you take over this podcast. We developed this thing called Fans Forum. John, for the people on live stream who've never participated, I mean, you need to be part of this podcast. Explain how this podcast works.
You're an SOB, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you got a comment or a question in the world of sports for Hacksaw, drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, X, or Facebook. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum. We got a ton of people piled in here, Lee. We'll see how deep we can go with the Fans Forum.
Fans Forum coming up right at the end. By the way, if you like sports, I write about sports every day of the week. Have you ever checked out my website? It's there first thing every morning. LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Best 15 minutes in sports. My one man's opinion column. Read what I wrote about Rory McIlroy, the Masters, the green jacket, and the country that is Ireland. I think you'll really like it. One man's opinion, it's there. It's absolutely free. I'm just curious. We offer you the chance to join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. That gets you on the email list. You can register right on the home page on my website. Guarantees you get 2 newsletters a day from me and John. Anybody out there, Tell us in the fans forum, do you like the newsletters that we send out? Are they of value? How different are they from anything else you might read? Somebody who's part of the Insiders Group, give me a letter grade on what we do with the Insiders Group and the 2 newsletters. Want you to share. Tell everybody what these 2 loudmouths do Monday and Thursdays at 1:30. Want you to subscribe. When you subscribe on the YouTube channel, you automatically get notification every time we put additional videos up there, because we put a lot of additional videos on my YouTube channel. Most important aspect, you can help us grow this thing. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the follow button, and on Apple, 5 stars. Give us 5 stars. We don't charge you for this, but just give us 5 stars. That helps us grow this thing a great deal. We thank you for being part of our team, but we do want you on Fans Forum when we're done. And we're going to try to get as many as we can. John, we have gone from golf and the Masters and the green jacket to baseball to basketball. Let's talk NFL football notebook, because the draft is just around the corner.
Yeah, it is. And I'm curious to see what our local teams are going to be up to.
Chargers, trade rumors. I don't understand this. I would not do this. But if there's a Charger fan out there here from San Diego, back there in L.A., would you trade the 22nd pick? Because that's the storyline that's kind of swirling around the insiders around the NFL. The Chargers are shopping the 22 pick to Arizona for the 34th pick and the 65 pick, because they want to get depth. They want more picks. Joe Ortiz has only 5 draft picks in his pocket right now. He wants to add to that. Other story involves budget, payroll. You know, they haven't spent a hell of a lot of money in free agency. I don't think they've fixed their team in free agency. I'm not really sure they're a better team now than they were at the end of the season. They got a deal with Derwin James. He's got 1 final year on his contract, and the rumor is his asking price is $25 million. So there's Charger stories out there for you to respond to. Rams, what are they going to do when he gets out? We're talking about Puka Nacua, who is in a rehab center in Malibu. We don't know what triggered all the strange behavior with him in December, January, February, into March. Are they going to pay him $40 million a year? You know, he's got a year left on his contract, and it looked like they were going to step forward and pay superstar money. You're going to pay superstar money to a guy who's obviously got some issues? Wow. So that's a story that is worth watching. New England Patriots. Let's talk about this storyline. This involves The Athletic, the big sports website. It involves their NFL writer, Diana Rossini, and an alleged relationship with Mike Vrabel. She has now been removed from the NFL beat pending their probe of her relationship with Vrabel. It's a burning question that's led to a lot of debate. Was she involved in a romantic relationship with a coach, despite the fact they're both married? Was she swapping sex for inside stories? Where do you draw the line between professionalism and personal relationships? And the report is the people in the New York Times and the people of The Athletic are really upset that nobody stepped forward, had any knowledge this was going on, and did not remove her until there were pressure points from within. Their own people said, you need to solve this problem because it creates a bad image for all the other female reporters that we employ or are employed in the media. New York Times story, think about that. Raiders situation, they meet tomorrow with Fernando Mendoza. And Mendoza, I've been told, is already working out with private coaches and indoctrinate himself in the Raider playbook. That's pretty interesting. Colorado, don't like this story at all. Deion Sanders leaving the CU Buffs program. 3rd surgery, blood clots have reappeared again. And this is a constant fight. He'll be gone at least 3 weeks. Meanwhile, Deion is really getting scorched publicly by former Colorado players who just left the program this past year to go into the transfer portal, including the top offensive lineman in the country, who's told the media that Colorado football is full of distractions And Colorado football is about Coach Prime and all of his posse and all of his friends and his coaching staff of his buddies. And the players are of the opinion they're not being taught well enough. They're not being prepared. Spring football's a joke. It's a parade of celebrities, and it's nothing more than Dion wearing his gear, hanging with the guys. Players are really bothered. And this is what players who just left Colorado, who were starters, said about what's happened in the last couple of years at CU. So, John, start with the Chargers. What are you going to do with Puka? Take it from there.
I just got to say this before I say anything about the full breakdown, is sometimes you are unintentionally funny. Okay. And like when you're talking about the Vrabel story, was she swapping sex for insider information? It just brings me back to like extra 690 days. I mean, I love how you can present stories like this in a way that like kind of makes you like turn your head a little bit. That to me, that whole thing is largely just baloney. It's got to be baloney. I mean, Vrabel's too smart of a guy, and my understanding is that the reporters from The Athletic investigated and said it wasn't anything. So I don't know. Hopefully, I'm not proven wrong on that. But as far as the teams go,
well, I mean, before you drift off to the other topics, so where do we draw the line? My theory is, I don't care if he wants to have a relationship with her, vice versa. That's why there are divorce courts. That's why you sign documents, etc. But it has exploded because if indeed this was a relationship and she kept breaking stories that maybe he was leaking to her, that's unfair to all the other female reporters out there.
Well, I don't think it is. I mean, it's not like the female reporters are a monolith. They're all the same. So as far as the story goes, I think we should wait for the evidence to come forward, right? And be dealing with facts rather than all these rumors and innuendos. Yeah, female reporters in sports definitely have challenges, but they've come a long way, and there's a lot of them that are terrific, and there's a lot of them that are just eye candy, So, but in this case, it seems like it's platonic, okay? And I that's where I'm going to say. But going through the list here, I mean, the Chargers maybe making some moves here to trade back, fill in some more holes. That's good. Derwin James, he's kind of deserves to get paid, and so that's more pressure on the salary cap. So those are some big choices there. Puka Nacua, you just got to give the guy time, right? He's addressing what needs to be addressed. It's concerning, but something strikes me that he's going to turn out to be a kind of guy that is going to learn from this. He's not going to be like a repeat offender. I don't think he's going to be that. I mean, do you?
I hope not. I mean, boy, he's a great talent. But I'll tell you, John, what transpired from the end of December into March, to me, was so bizarre. And whether that's all driven by alcoholism, or whether that's driven by posse, or whether that's driven by money, or whether that's driven by concussions, which can trigger strange stuff upstairs. I'm really worried about that.
See, that to me, that's the issue. Is it a CTE thing? And if it is, the guy needs to get help, and the NFL needs to take another look at some of their rules and maybe go back and look at some of the tape when he got hit. They can pinpoint it to maybe if something happened there. But just, dude's got to grow up. He's got to learn from this, and I think he will. He just strikes me. Puka Nacua strikes me as a young man that has decent character.
Would you give him a contract extension right now with a year to go, or do you make him play the season and walk the fine line and hope there's no other setbacks?
Yeah, I think you can't sign him right now. I think let's just see how this offseason continues. And when he shows, is he going to be at the mini camps? I mean,
we don't know.
We don't know.
He's still in the Malibu treatment center.
See, I think you got to give him the time. And then if he shows up at the facilities and the OTAs and everything else, then maybe you just kind of have to give the guy his space. That's fine. I'm really worried about Coach Prime. I just don't. Granted, is there a circus and a posse and all that? Yeah, that's kind of all part of the shtick with him, but. He's had a lot of surgeries. I mean, not just the 3 blood clots, but
the cancer surgeries.
Yeah, that, and I think a lot of those blood clots required multiple surgeries,
right? And the amputations.
Yeah, so I'm kind of worried about his health, and I don't see how you can be a head coach of a D1 program if you're constantly dealing with medical issues.
I concur. I don't know how this is going to turn out. And, of course, the program has not turned out like everybody thought it would. He's sub 500 over 3 years.
Yeah, but he took over a program that only won like one game or two games or something. It's a big uphill climb. I'm willing to give him time because Colorado hasn't had anything to be excited about in decades.
What about the player criticism going out the door?
No, that's fair. There is some of that, but some of that posse are like guys like Warren Sapp. That's like an NFL Hall of Fame, defensive lineman.
But some of those guys also did a crap job, and Sapp is gone.
Yeah. I mean, that's the nature of, college football. Coaching staffs change. But, yeah, I mean, Prime, the honeymoon's over for Prime in Boulder. We got to see some more improvement there. But yeah, those are fair criticisms by guys going out the door, and they should say why they're leaving.
Okay. Comments, NFL Notebook, Fans Forum, belongs to you. Jump on board. We'll go from that. Boy, there's a lot to talk about on the Hockey Hotline. Oh, Canada Network, pay attention.
Yeah, we got the San Diego Gulls at the top.
Let's start here. They are going to the playoffs. Matt McIlvain has done a kind of a neat job. They're going to the playoffs because, for the most part, the Anaheim Ducks left most of their players here during the course of the season. Some of the young guys who started to score goals, the vested veterans led by Justin Bailey, are having maybe career best seasons. Goaltender Kalle Klang out of Sweden has suddenly shown up and has really developed into a really trustworthy goalkeeper. First time in the playoffs in 4 years now. They're the last team. They're in 7th place in the Pacific, but they've been playing a lot better under Matt McIlvain. However, all 3 of their games are going to be on the road because they're the last one in that division. So the best of 3 first round is all in somebody else's rink. That's going to be hard, but they're in the playoffs. That's a positive. Ducks, they give a 3-year contract extension to their general manager, Pat Verbeek. Job well done. Didn't agree with everything he did as it relates to trades. Didn't agree with him hauling all of the draft picks out of San Diego and putting the AHL franchise in a funk. But he's got the Ducks in the fight. Playoff spot up until last week. They were really playing great hockey. Now they hit a bit of a skid. They've lost 7 of their last 8. They've stopped scoring goals, got a little bit dinged up. But at the end of the day, pretty good roster rebuild. Cota Gauthier, who they traded for from Philly, the kid, he's got 40 goals. Leo Carlson, who you and I talked about when he got drafted a couple of years ago, he's got 30 goals. Now, Beckett Seneke, who they just drafted, 19-year-old, showed up, never played a second in the minor leagues. He's got 21 goals. And they acquired, through free agency or trades, 6 veteran guys. I'm a little disappointed some of the veterans have not scored very much. There's been unbelievable workload on the kid forwards. But Verbeek gets a 3-year contract extension. L.A. Kings, brink of the playoffs. I don't know where this has come from, but they're on a spurt. They've won 5 of their last 6. And what they've done is change goaltenders, and journeyman Anton Forsberg has come up hot in place of a worn-out Darcy Kemper. Kings are playing better hockey, getting a little bit more offense. They're right knocking at the door, trying to be the last team in the Western Conference. Vancouver, waiting for the roof to cave in. We think there's going to be a house cleaning maybe at the end of this week. In 2 years' time, that ownership, that general manager, that coaching staff wrecked a playoff team. I feel so bad for Thatcher Demko. He's been left behind. Everybody else, for the most part, is gone. Rumor is they're going to fire the coaching staff. They're going to fire the general manager maybe by the end of the week when the season ends. Colorado Avalanche. You see when you watch games, players sitting on the bench, coaching staff standing right behind them. Everybody's peering over. Pucks go into that area. High sticks go into that area.
Yeah.
Jared Bednar, the coach of the first-place Colorado Avalanche, got hit in the face with a puck the other night. Knocked out. Taken to the hospital. Fractured orbital bones. He is out for the rest of the week. Fear of concussion. Might be surgery. He's not going to be on the bench. If he gets on the bench for the start of the playoffs, he might be wearing a face mask and a helmet. a coach. I saw that it was a deflected puck that went into the bench area. Holy cow, did he go down like a sack of potatoes. Very scary story there with him. New York Rangers. This is a good guy. He just announced his retirement last night. Ex-LA Kings goaltender Jonathan Quick retiring. He played 16 years in goal for the LA Kings. The greatest goaltender the Kings had might have been Kelly Rudy, who backstopped them during the Stanley Cup run. Greatest goaltender way back in the day was Rory Vachon, who gave them great credibility. But I tell you what, Jonathan Quick, a hell of a goaltender from the University of Massachusetts, just announcing his retirement after 16 years in the NHL. College hockey. It's called the Frozen Four. It's like the Final Four.
Yeah.
Hockey version. Denver University beat the University of Michigan. They did it with a 19-year-old freshman goaltender. His name is Johnny Deeks. He went 16-0-1 as a starter when they put him in midseason because of an injury. 5'9", firebrand in goal.
Wow.
Denver University, which is a really good hockey program. It used to be Minnesota, used to be Wisconsin, used to be guys back east, Boston College, Boston. Denver University wins the NCAA tournament, Frozen Four in overtime, thanks to Johnny Deeks, their goaltender. Those are hot topics on the table. Belongs to you to tell me what you think.
You know, we were just talking about Denver because they just went into the West Coast Conference.
Yes.
But I don't think any of the teams in the West Coast Conference even have hockey teams. Yeah, it is kind of interesting how Denver, you know, I always think of hockey as like the Dakotas, you know, and then a lot of the Ivy League schools up there in the Northeast. It is interesting that Denver has been so good at
so long.
With the Frozen Four. You know, if you're a fan of the Ducks, I mean, the whole organization is like really looking good right now. Yeah. Everyone's making the playoffs, so that's terrific. I'm really happy for them.
Spell. I mean, they got really good, won the Stanley Cup, and then proceeded to get old with high contracts, and the rebuild has been so painful.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time, you know, and we've been talking a lot about how, you know, the whole roster here in San Diego got cleared out and sent to Anaheim, right. And then they were force feeding the young guys. So that's a nice moment for that organization. They're really turning the corner. Let's hope the Ducks can go deep in the playoffs. Maybe the Gulls can get over the hump of one first round. I mean, it's going to be tough.
Oh, it's tough. You got to play all three, best of three on the road. But if the Gulls could make a run, the coolest thing, because this is a good hockey town, they could draw 12,000 per game at the sports arena if the Gulls are in AHL playoffs playing home games. That building would rock because it's always a party down there. But this is the way this thing is formatted. If you're at the back end of that division, you got to play all those games on the road, which is I think is unfair, but I understand it's travel, it's cost of operation.
It was kind of like what baseball did in their first round. You know, games all on the road.
That's right. So that's where we are. All things hockey. O Canada Network is invited to jump on board, Fans Forum. Last topic on the table, corner kick me a couple of questions.
Yeah, we got the Sports Wire, the high-speed Sports Wire.
San Diego FC. Wow. Not playing right now the way they used to play. They lose to Minnesota at home, fourth straight game with a red card. Not playing with the tenacity or maybe the intelligence that they played before. They lose to the Minnesota United team. They got outshot. They got out-muscled. They got out-hustled. Their record now is 3-2-2, and they're missing firepower. That's a big, big issue right now with SDFC. Season's young. I understand that. But right now, they're hitting a bumpy patch, and we had not seen that from this club all of last year during that great season. Team USA Soccer. Injuries. Patrick Agamong, one of the young goal scorers, was with the team during the victories in the friendly, scored a key goal, played very well. Went back to England when the international window closed, rejoined his club, Derby, in the Championship League, ruptured Achilles. Out of the World Cup, setback there. Good piece of news is Tyler Adams, who's had a history of knee problems, quad problems, finally cleared He's playing again in the English Premier League and should be good to go for the World Cup. Women's soccer. Nobody's talking about this. They should be talking about it. USA women in friendlies have now won 10 in a row. They pasted Japan in a friendly on Friday night. Emma Hayes has done such a great job roster building for Team USA. And the last topic, MLS soccer. You know, we got all these teams in this league. The league is spread out all over the place. We pay attention to SDFC. To a degree, we pay a little bit of attention to LA Galaxy and LAFC. Cincinnati FC has opened negotiations with South American star Neymar from Santos, former FC Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain player. Now, he's veteran. He's 34. He's had knee injuries. His contract is about to lapse at Santos. Cincinnati FC, under the new rules, can go after an international star. That's a star of magnitude, although he's got a lot of miles on him.
Yeah.
But is Neymar equal to Messi? No, he's probably not. But at the end of the day, that's a story just broke over the weekend out of Cincinnati that there are talks through the MLS about dealing with the South American star at Santos. So, John, corner kick me an opinion.
What's Chucky Lozano doing these days?
Does not have a job, and I don't. You know, the clock is ticking. The Mexican World Cup team hasn't chosen its final roster. He hasn't played. No trade's been made. They're on the hook for this money. I just don't understand it. Either nobody wants him, or he's refused to accept the deal. They don't want him back, and they definitely need an asset back to get him off the roster and let him go play. But, boy, the clock's running against him. We're in April now, and Mexico, they're going to be talking about the final 36 for their roster going to their final camp. He wants to be part of that. Should he have not accepted a deal?
It just seems like he would be the perfect solution here. You know, you say they don't have enough, there's not enough magic, not enough balls, not moving around as much. You got, here you got a veteran, a goal scorer. You got a veteran because there's so many different young guys that they're bringing up through SDFC. So now, granted, I know Mikey Vera says it can't go back, after the whole culture, clubhouse problem that they had. But boy, would he be a good fit right now. It is, last year, everything San Diego FC did was just
perfect.
It was wonderful. Yeah, everything they touched turned to gold. So this is a little bit more of reality, kind of smacking them up the face. But, so it's like you say, it's early. And I think it's cool that Neymar, I like it generally, when famous soccer players come to America, and granted, they're on the tail end of their career, but still Messi just cleans up the MLS. He's still great. But even when we have Pele, it just brings more enthusiasm around the sport of soccer into America, even if we're getting a guy that, is on the swan song.
Well, we had Pele, and then fast forward for decades upon decades, we had David Beckham.
Yeah, that's right.
And Beckham came to L.A., but he was really at the tail end of his career. I'm not going to say he was operating on fumes, but he didn't have the impact I thought he would. Messi has showed up despite his age, and what he's done in Inter Miami is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he just lights it up.
Yeah, so we'll see if this guy from Santos has any gas left in the tank. But it'd be cool if Cincinnati could get him. The thing is, you want the veteran to come play, be a cornerstone of your team, be an identity thing for the league, rather than come just collect a paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. But you want to give the Cincinnati fans something to get excited about. Yeah, so it's great.
Okay, if you're a soccer fan, feel free, jump on board. It's time for you to take over the podcast. This Monday bonus podcast is brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers. 8 locations to serve you. You got projects, they've got materials. You want ideas, they can help you. Best thing I can recommend, just go to dixieline.com to see all they have to offer. We're ready. We're set. We're ready for you to co-host with us. You're going to take this the rest of the way. Here comes Fans Forum.
Fans Forum. Let's go to Music to My Ears. Thank you for the donation. Hey, coverage of the Masters and MLB has been brutal lately. Same recycled questions, things I learned as a child, zero edge. It's not reporting. It's just PR with a microphone.
Well, there's a substance that they want delivered in terms of the Masters. I didn't think this Masters telecast was equal to all the great telecasts. Now, I was bothered by all the noise. And somebody will have to message me here on the fans forum and say, I agree with you. Too much music, too many graphics, too many promos, rather than the insightful stuff from a really good broadcast team. I felt it felt different to me. It didn't feel like it was driven by Jim Nance. It seemed to be driven by all the CBS personalities they want to infuse there. Please answer the question, why is Kelsey's brother on the Masters broadcast?
Yeah, well, they're just trying to get the podcasting in, social media people. So it kind of makes you wonder, because normally when I got a Masters, when sometimes the Masters organizers are just so conservative. They try to micromanage the way the CBS does that tournament. Who was the guy that got suspended for saying something about the
surfboard waxing?
Yeah, of the bikini.
Gary McCord.
Yeah, that was like, 20 years ago?
A long time ago.
Yeah, and I know that he got in trouble. And so,
well, they took him off the broadcast.
So it just seems like the Masters, I don't know, it just seems like those guys are so tight with how they manage that club.
But this thing looks so out of control.
Yeah, it's
Noisy.
weird. Yeah. But CBS is going through a lot of changes right now. They're a news program and everything else.
The whole division.
Yeah, so I can imagine there's just a lot of turmoil.
Okay. If you agree or disagree, let us know. That was my response. It just doesn't feel like the Masters telecast that we've grown to love for a long period of time. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the contribution to help us pay the bills.
Okay, let's go here to Matt DeBeast. Is Tony Vitello in over his head in San Francisco? And, hey, any comment on the Scott Kaplan drama?
Well, I wasn't aware of the Kaplan thing till this morning, but everybody does what they do on their podcast because that's what they do. And if you have to understand that if you're going to loop something here, you're going to be held accountable. And then, of course, there'll be all kinds of reactions. Some will be right on. Some of them will be really off the edge and going to blast your ass. So I like John Browner. I like Padilla. Obviously, Cap and I go back a long time. But Johnny Basketball sometimes says things for the sake of saying things. Okay, Johnny Basketball said things. You're going to be held accountable for what you said, absurd as they are, whether it was tongue-in-cheek, whatever. In terms of the Giants manager, learning curve. It's a little bit different, but I don't know that he's got a complete roster. I thought after the offseason acquisitions of what they brought in, I thought they'd be a pretty competitive batting order, and they got 4 guys hitting like under 190, and these are big time guys. The Willie Adamases of the world. So it's early, small sample size, but these guys got to hit, and I don't think that San Francisco has enough starting pitching. All right, so your response to Johnny Basketball and what he said on video, and then you want to talk about Coach Tony from college?
I saw the video, when Browner was up on top of the Western Metal Supply building. And, that was out of character. But I know that he's a comedian, and I thought there was something cooking that I didn't know the inside joke. Then I saw Alex Padilla's video earlier this morning where he didn't try to cover for Browner, but he at least set the context for what was going on. And I guess they were having some conversation about the City Connects and the Heritage and the San Diego. And then they were commenting on the mariachis in the video. So the whole thing struck me as it's not a smart thing to do. But if you understand the full context, it's not a very serious infraction. But standalone, that video, it doesn't look so good. But I know those guys are good guys. They're not vindictive. They're not evil.
They say just things that for the sake of saying things.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's just maybe a joke that didn't hit, and so I'm not worried about it.
If our City Connects had palm trees and sunshine, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Now, the by-border thing, that's kind of unique, and that's really different. This is all under the umbrella of marketing Padre baseball to the mass, and the mass includes the by-border.
Yeah, everything about the City Connects I think is great. And the way the Padres put in so much thought, deep thought, into how they were going to put this thing together. And the whole uniform just tells a wonderful story.
Sure.
So I think it's just great. And I think graphically it looks great. So I don't know. To me, they hit a home run.
Next time, palm trees and sunshine.
Okay, maybe so. I think that's what Browner was kind of going for.
I think he tried to get there, but it got sideways.
He got sideways a little bit.
Okay.
Anyways, Browner's a good guy.
What are we doing about the Giants?
Vitello is, he seems like how do I say this? He's always like talking too much, like revealing too much, and he seems to be enjoying doing that, so he keeps putting his foot in his mouth. So it just makes me wonder, like if you're a college coach, it's not like you have to have a press conference after every game the way these guys are in the Major League Baseball. So I think, he probably was feeling really confident, real strong ego. Here I am. I'm a big league manager, and he's got a lot to say, and he's probably an extrovert.
Now he's 6-10, and people want answers rather than.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to be accountable to your record. So to me, he's going to learn, and I just hope that behind the scenes he brings a lot of that college energy to the Giants, and hopefully can keep them fired up. But a guy like that could also go too far and kind of sour the clubhouse.
Okay. Thank you for the questions. Hope we gave you answers. Thank you.
Okay, let's go here to Michael. Hey, Lee and John. Great show, guys. Question for you two. What are the Padres' backup plans if they have to lose Pivetta for a significant amount of time?
Well, knock on wood, we won't get to that. But if that happens, first call obviously is going to be Waldron, but he's a knuckleball AAA pitcher. And he's had some minor success here for a short period. Since then, he's had no success and injuries. So that's a bit of a reach. After that, J.P. Sears is down there, but he's got an ERA in the Pacific Coast League of just under 5. He's a back of the rotation guy. Where do they go beyond that? That's a huge question. I'm just not sure. Maybe there's a trade. Maybe you can rent a pitcher. The only free agent pitcher that's still left is Lucas Giolito, but he wants $15 million a year. This ownership's not going to spend that, and he's got a really high ERA, and he's at the end of his career. So they're going to have an issue if Pivetta is shut down for a chunk of time, because now you don't have Pivetta. There is no Joe Musgrove for at least a couple of months, and who knows when he comes back and if Vintage Joe can be Vintage Joe. You got Michael King, who's giving you everything he can, but he's had good outings, bad outings. You got Buehler, you got Marquez. Canning's coming, but we don't know if he can be what he was before the Achilles injury. Now, it's an Achilles, it's not an arm injury, so that I guess that's a positive. But as I told John at the start end of this podcast, geez, if you're telling me that we got to play the next 140 games with those guys as the rotation because you've lost Pivetta, trouble.
Matt Waldron kind of carried the team a couple of years ago.
For about the first third of the season, but then it all went away.
Well, yeah, I mean, because he hadn't played at that level for that period of time, but he's like one of the last knuckleballers in Major League Baseball, isn't he? Mm-hmm. And he's been working on his other pitches, and to me, he's like a secret weapon. Just because of the knuckleball, and it just makes the other team have to really think. And he's been spotless in El Paso.
But that's AAA.
But still, if you're shutting him out in AAA, then good. That's what we expect. And so to me, he's the obvious next guy in. Griff Canning, I think, is going to turn out to be nice when he comes back.
Maybe he's the lottery ticket we had hoped for.
Yeah, and but I don't expect him to be a number one. But I think he's going to be a solid, middle of the rotation guy. If you go beyond that, if you have to go to Sears, if you have to convert Kyle Hart to a starter, then things kind of get a little sideways. So there's not a lot of extra options, yep. But Preller is always willing to make a deal. So we'll see. Right now, I think the key question is, what's the final analysis here on Pivetta? How's he feeling today? Because they said they wanted to wait a day. And then is he going to go and have it imaged? Is this a serious problem? But I think in a best-case scenario, he's going to miss at least one start.
Oh, well, best-case scenario is probably on the DL for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you for the input. I'm sure by Thursday we'll have a little bit more definition on Pivetta. And then, is there a panic button here on this table? We'll see what happens. Hope for the best, fear the worst.
Okay, let's go here to Mike, some more Padres talk. Hey, gents, how do you feel about Fernando's move to second base? Was this an engagement move of some sort from the Padres to get him really going?
He's got a hit. And I know you're going to say, well, he had a great series against the Rockies. The Rockies don't have any pitching. Let's see the big picture. Fernando's a hell of a right fielder. I'm not sure I would take him out of right field. Who are you going to sit? You got Jake, who's got a great glove, not hitting. Bogarts, who I think is rock solid and is just hitting rocket shots. Maybe his average is going to come around. But I think Fernando needs to be in right field because he owns everything from the foul line to center field and everything above the wall. Am I right or am I right?
You're wrong. Yeah, I think everything about this is great. I mean, everything about it. Like, there's so many different storylines. Like, one is obviously when he went from shortstop to right field, that was a big story. And he's always wanted to play the infield, right? And so now you're kind of giving him a taste of it. But in this case, they had to give Cronenworth and Bogarts days off. And who you got? I mean, there's no guy. I mean, so he's clearly the guy that has to come in until Sung-Moon Song is ready, and he looks like he's been playing pretty well in El Paso.
He's hitting the 260s. Yeah.
So in this case, I think Tatis also handled it really well because they were, everyone was on him. How do you feel? What about the change of position? And do you want to go back to shortstop? And the media, it was all over him. He was like, no big deal. It's like a couple of games.
But the bigger question, the legitimate question in the clubhouse is why the hell are you hitting 190 again?
Well, he went 3 for 4 yesterday.
But that's against Colorado.
Yeah, but he was playing second base. And this is the other great part of it is Craig Stammen is not like some old stodgy Mike Schilt guy. He's willing to be a player's manager, and Stammen even said when they make the lineup, it's not just his decision. The coaches, the players, everyone has input on this. And so the fact that he's open-minded enough to bring Fernando in to play second, Fernando feels pretty good. He's probably a little more focused defensively at second, which then takes a little bit of pressure off when he's hitting. And it proved out to be true.
Against Colorado.
But it's a game they're supposed to win. If he went like 0 for 2 or 1 for 4 against Colorado, I'd say, okay, yeah, that's Colorado. That's not good. He went 2 for 3 at like a double, and he looks more alive. So I think it's great. But he understands though that right field's his spot. And he knows this is kind of a little play thing. He gets to play a little second, and Song is going to be the guy, the backup middle infielder guy, and he'll go back to right, and it's fine. It was something to talk about.
Don't demean Mike Schilt. He did win 90 and 93. Whether he burned out, that was on him. But he won 90 and 93.
Yeah, well, he did a good job. But you're hearing stories now about how mid-season last year, some of the players, I guess, were saying something like Schilt was sort of not all there. He was kind of already beginning to mentally check out. Mm-hmm. And then what do you think of this discussion is the Luis Campusano deal? Because Schilt seemed to have Campusano in the dughouse, in the doghouse, but he lit up AAA. He got minimal opportunities at the big league level. He didn't produce, and then he kind of went back to the doghouse. Now
so far so good. He's hitting. He's on a bit of a hot streak right now. Didn't hit like that before. His defense was kind of poor. Now he looks like he's a much better defensive catcher. So I think he's grown into the job. And as long as he's not screwing up behind the plate, pass balls, that
he's
kind of
good
stuff.
Back there.
And if he can continue to hit rather than being 0 for the season, play him.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, people are, he's put in the work, and I think it's really showing. And how about his like ABS back there? I mean, he's like got a really great eye back there as a catcher, and he's not afraid to do it. And it seems like he's kind of relaxed. And now, he's hitting the ball. And imagine having your number 8 hitter, your catcher
with pop.
That suddenly that bottom third of your order starts to look a lot more interesting. And then when Tatis comes up to bat, he's got guys on base. So I think this could all work out great.
Small sample size.
It is small.
Thank God Colorado and the Pirates pitching staff were on the schedule. Okay, we move on.
Okay, let's go here to Bat Fan. Hey, has the PGA finally moved on from needing Tiger Woods, or is star power still needed on the tour?
Well, I think we've developed some real stars, but obviously Rory has become the fans' man. But there are some really good young players on this tour. Xander Schauffele was in the hunt there till the final Sunday. So, I mean, he's a budding star. I think there's some other guys there. The guys who went to LIV, nobody's come back and done anything. You've seen Dustin Johnson play at all? Jeez. DeChambeau, triple bogeys, all kinds of bogeys, shot a 76 at the Masters. Yikes. There is no Phil, there is no Tiger. So it's a changing of the guard. I think there are other really good young golfers out there. But now Rory Rory's moved front and center ahead of everybody, and obviously the greatness of Scheffler. I think Scheffler's game is going to come back. We're going to see that vibrancy again. We haven't seen it through the first 5-6 tournaments of the season.
You were commenting earlier about, like, why is Kelsey at the Masters and all this noise? Do you think maybe the league is – do you think maybe CBS is overcompensating because so many of these guys are not personalities? I mean, Rory is, but, guys like Scheffler are kind of –
Laid back
or almost sort of what's the word? They're just kind of like focused, and they're like a machine, that just grinds without showing personality. So maybe do you think CBS was overcompensating, trying to get other things going on in the telecast?
Because I just get the sense CBS is trying to reach out to a different demographic, but to me they're cluttering the broadcast.
Yeah, well, the Masters is almost like it's
a cathedral.
Yes, it's like an art piece.
Yes.
And so you have to kind of take it at that. That's why I kind of like when they show the azaleas, when the nice cinematography. And
with the music.
And Amen Corner. And, they have this whisper.
But it didn't feel that way on Sunday.
No, yeah, okay. All right.
I don't know. Somebody else who's a golf fan, if you can, get on board. Hit a good tee shot. Did the broadcast feel different to you, look different to you? Was it cluttered to you? I'm so used to the Masters having a certain style and delivery. I mean, it'd be kind of like you watching this podcast and me singing a song, Everything is Beautiful. That wouldn't be my podcast.
Let's all sing with Hacksaw.
That wouldn't be my podcast, my style. But anyway.
No, it wouldn't.
React. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's go here to Texocala Station. Hey, can you guys please tell me what is going wrong with my Yankees? They started out 7-1 and the best winning percentage in Major League Baseball, then lost their last 5 straight. Rays have had quiet ownership over the Yankees for years.
Well, a piece of the equation is Aaron Judge has hit, 1 home run in 10 days? I think the last I checked yesterday, Aaron Judge's batting average was .234. Bellinger, I think, was hitting .248. Volpe, the young shortstop, has not been Volpe yet. Now, that kid's had shoulder surgery and things of that nature. I think the Yankee pitching staff outside of Fried has been a little substandard. Now, they're going to get, they really believe that Garrett Cole's coming back, and then Rodana's throwing batting practices now, so I think he'll be back. So I just don't think the Yankees have all their components in place yet.
Yeah, they got Cody Bellinger back, right?
He's hitting .248.
Yeah.
With no pop. And Judge has one dinger.
Bellinger he's just an interesting player. Like, it's like you're not sure what you're going to get.
Yeah, and then the center fielder, Trent
Grisham.
Yeah, it's hitting like 155.
That's what Trent Grisham does.
Yeah.
He plays good defense. He doesn't hit for average, but he has a lot more power than you expect from him. Now, just totally side Yankees note. Thurman Munson.
Yes.
Right? He's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
No.
Do you think he deserves it?
Pretty close, but he's been up for ballot. You're only allowed to be on the ballot so long. I think, excuse me, the problem is his career was so compacted. He had good years, great leadership qualities, but that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, and then he died. He died at age 32.
I remember that was like in 76, 77.
I covered that plane crash.
You did?
Oh, my God.
Where was that?
Yeah, Akron-Canton Airport on an off day. I got to know Thurman. He came in the studio and did talk shows with me.
Really?
Nice man. Fiery guy. Little old school. But I had gotten to know him, and he lived in Canton, Ohio, and I was working in Akron. And somehow I hooked up with him and said, "You want to come up one night and sit in for 2 hours, talk baseball?" Yeah. It was great. And Yankees were off. He'd come home to Akron-Canton. I'm not sure whether they were about to play in Cleveland, maybe, against the Indians. And he had his own private plane. And on his off day, he was doing touch and goes, practicing at Akron-Canton Airport. And he missed a runway, and he crashed and broke his neck. Plane exploded in flames. It was horrible to have to cover it. And then the Yankees, they held a funeral in North Canton, Ohio, and I went to cover it. And the media was ensconced in one part of this Catholic church, And, I mean, the entire Yankee organization was there. And to see Steinbrenner, Billy Martin, Reggie Jackson cry at the funeral, whew, it was something. I mean, it was really moving. He's a hell of a guy, taken way too early in his life.
Well, I just remember I was a little kid when that happened. And this was right before the Yankees, weren't they in 2 or 3 World Series there in the late 70s? And I just remember the outpouring of sadness.
Oh, yeah.
That he was such a leader of men, and a guy that was trusted.
And they didn't get along with each other. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Billy Martin and Reggie Barr and Munson and all these other guys are on that staff. They had a lot of really unique personalities, but boy, they would go head to head.
Catfish Hunter was on that team. Was Ron Guidry on that?
Yep.
He might have been on those
Louisiana
teams.
Lightning.
Goose Gossage?
Might have been.
Yeah.
I sat there in a corner where the media was ensconced, and I saw Billy Martin weep like a baby. It was just, it's amazing. And I had covered a terrible plane crash in 1970. I covered the tragedy at Marshall University, the crash on the hillside that killed the entire football. I went down there that night with a TV crew and covered that. And this was pretty sad too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's the story on the Yankees. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, let's go to Do You Love It? He's whining because we didn't get his comment in earlier. We had a flurry of Padres comments. That's why we didn't fit this one in, but Do You Love It says, Padres, Trevor Bauer, for the love of God.
Well, that'd be a reach, though. He's got to be 35 or 36, and he's coming off injury. He had pitched for 2 years in Japan and Mexico, and had pitched pretty well, but nobody would touch him. Then he went back to the Yokohama Bay Stars, and he got hurt last year, and his numbers were way off the charts. He was like 4-10 with a really high ERA. Yokohama didn't bring him back. He just signed in the Independent League to pitch for the, quote, Long Island Ducks, which is in the Independent League. But he's such a troubled, weird guy. And now he's got a lot of miles on him. So I don't know. The flip side of Bauer is the Dodger left-hander, Julio Urias, who we talked, John and I found out, I found out that he was down in Chihuahua in Mexico. He's not pitching. And it's been 2 years now. And that guy was 60-25 as a Dodger starter before all this domestic abuse stuff happened. His agent, Scott Boras, was finally asked this weekend, what's become of him? He says, I still represent him, but he has not given me approval to talk to any major league team. And some teams have contacted him. So that's where we are. That's the answer there. If the Padres are going to do something from the outside, if the Pivetta news is bad, will ownership allow them to take on salary? How do they get somebody? Is it by virtue of a trade? Then who do they trade, and how much more do they take on? Because everything they do now, because they're above luxury tax, it's almost double the salary. If you're signing somebody for $10 million, you're paying $10 million tax on top. That's a lot of money for this ownership group.
I think the woman that Bauer got set up on, right? That was in on him for the money. That woman, I think, used to date Tatis. I think
she dated everybody. She was a groupie. She's from San Diego.
Okay,
she's the daughter of a baseball coach.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm because of all of that. I mean, just imagine if they signed Bauer, what would the clubhouse chemistry be like? Could that go sideways?
Well, you're signing him to the minimum. This is his last opportunity if he gets an opportunity in Major League Baseball. These are the guidelines. These are the boundary markers. Don't you dare step out. If you step out, we're going to terminate everything and we're going to take the money we already paid you, bonus, whatever. Yeah, but the other question is, if he's 36, can he get anybody out anymore? Because he's been out of it for so long.
Yeah, he has. It's been like at least 3 years.
Yeah, probably more than that. So he's self-destructed.
I still see his videos on X.
Yeah.
He's always working out, but he seems like he's goofing around more than he is really focused on coming back.
Yeah. And he's a smart guy, but he did a lot of stupid things. I think he's kind of viewed as being toxic. Why am I going there?
I think he's smart and he's a little full of himself, and
he's too smart and too full of himself.
Yeah, and that can get himself in trouble. So,
yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. We'll go to Casey. Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, hope you're feeling better from the car accident. Great rally by Rory yesterday in the final round of the Masters. Hacksaw, you think he can three-peat it next year?
Let's worry about next year. Let's just see what he does because, more recently in the last year and a half, he's had some injury problems. His career has been a little bit up and a little bit down. Coming into the Masters, he had back problems, had not played well at all. Coming to the Masters, Scotty Scheffler did not look like Scotty Scheffler. The guy had won 15 tournaments in 2+ years. He looked off the charts, too. And in bingo, they get there chasing a green jacket, and Rory really played well. I went on KUSI Saturday morning, and I said, nobody's going to catch this guy. He's 6 up already. And he totally fell apart in round 3. I mean, he played golf like you play golf.
Yeah.
He was hitting shots into the pine trees and shots into the patrons area, gallery. It was really weird. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to play through the adversity. And none of the other guys who made a run at McIlroy could continue it over 18 holes. Rory had his bumps where his putter went away, hit the bad shots, then he gathered it back in. All of a sudden, goes back-to-back birdie. All of a sudden, hits 2 long pars where he wasn't hitting them before, and he wins. But let's not worry about can he three-peat. We'll talk about that next spring. Let's just see what he does to build on this.
How you feeling after the car accident?
Like crap, thank you. Now, I'm really bruised. I just really got banged up. End result, I'm very fortunate.
Those are the airbags that got you, right?
Airbags nailed me. By God's grace, nothing came through the windshield.
Yeah.
Because the Barking Beagle, which is our mascot, the Barking Beagle would be in here doing this podcast if something had come through the front window of my car at 4:30 in the morning.
The way you explained how it all went down and to see the picture of your car.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And that you're still cooking, man. You don't stop.
I'm trying hard. I tape a Tylenol or 2 to my bruised chest because I got whacked. But we're here. Thank you for asking. We're doing the best we can, and Barking Beagle still may wind up here in this chair yet.
Okay. Let's God, there's so many comments here.
I'll just pick a few here.
I know, but there's one that I really wanted to get in because it was commenting about the newsletter because you were asking about the newsletter. So I'll find it for the next one. But let's jump ahead and go to Teamer. He goes, hey, the Angels take 2 out of 3 from the Reds, and Jose Soriano is 4-0, leads the league in strikeouts.
That's a pretty good start. Bullpen's a little iffy. Starters 2, 3, and 4, a little iffy. They got to get Kikuchi to be what Kikuchi could be, and actually he's going to start tonight. Angels, it feels like the Angels have been on the road the whole season. Now they're in Yankee Stadium tonight. So Kikuchi is going to start against the New York Yankees. But if Soriano can continue, and you got Kikuchi lined up, Detmers has had better starts compared to bad starts. So that's 3 starters. Kachanowicz, some good, some bad. He's what they got. There's nothing else there. So they just need to be able to do that. They're still not hitting very well. So we'll just see. It's a long haul. But they got 8 wins already. I mean, they're 8-8. Which is a nice little start, but 'tis a long haul.
Did you see Mike Trout got hit by that foul ball?
Oh, yeah.
And people are saying how he's had so much bad luck.
Yep.
And I think Jorge Soler, was the one that hit it. And Trout's doing what he's supposed to do. He's in foul territory, because you don't want to get hit by the ball in fair territory. He got whacked, and you're like, oh, man. I mean, that guy just can't get a break.
And he's not hitting. He's got an occasional extra base hit and a home run or 2 here, but he's not hitting for average. A lot of the teams still not hitting yet. But, no, Soriano, that's great. Let's just, hopefully he holds up. He's throwing a lot of pitches, but he had 10 strikeouts over the weekend, so we'll see. Interesting series, because the Angels have already played the Mets in New York. Angels at Fenway Park already, and now they're at Yankee Stadium. So, they play a lot of games away.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But the Angels having some success. They're playing above expectations so far. Okay, you asked for comments on the newsletters. Here's 2 of them. I'm going to go first to Retro. He says, I love the newsletter. It takes me back. Feels like I'm reading the San Diego Union Tribune, especially the best 15 minutes.
Okay, see, that's an endorsement for everybody on this podcast why you should sign up for Hacksaw's Insiders Group just on my website. Go to leehacksawhamilton.com. There's an orange box right there on the page. Fill it out. Get on the email list because we send out newsletters, 2 of them a day, that are in your inbox. So I'm glad you like it. I'd like to see what other people have got to say.
Yeah, well, Callan had a comment. He goes, A+++ on the newsletter and the best 15 minutes. It helps get my day started and gives me a guide for my own podcast content.
See, I told you. You hang with me, you'll be the second smartest guy in the room, aside from the guy that wrote the newsletter.
No, I just got to say, it's really good. I mean, because the best 15 minutes is like bullet points of everything that's cooking in sports. And you got data, you got all the statistics, you got the quotes, matchups, the notes. It's a really thorough. The way you cover the leagues in all of the sports. I mean, including English Premier League and F1 racing. And then the one man's opinion column. I mean, usually columnists only do 1 column a week. You do 5.
Yeah.
I mean,
some are different than others. That's okay.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good content. I mean,
I always wonder what the competing media thinks of what I do. Or maybe they don't pay attention because nobody ever says anything. It's like either they don't read it or they don't want to compliment me because I'm in a competing media, which I'm just curious.
Okay. No, I'm thanks to the guys here for dropping some positive notes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to John. Glad to see the Padres have turned it around and wondering if Tatis is going to win a platinum glove at second base. Very surprised to see that the Washington Nationals have found some offense, scoring 89 runs in 15 games. The only team that has more are the damn Dodgers. I guess analytics works.
Dodgers are smoking the ball, even though some of their guys are not hitting. James Wood is off to a pretty good start with Washington. Abrams is hitting. Washington just did enough pitching because more than anything else, what we need in Washington, aside from the replacement of your president, what we need in Washington is a new owner for the Washington Nationals. Agree with me or agree with me?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, of all the professional sports, which franchise needs a new owner the worst?
That'd be a long list.
I mean, yeah, because we could talk about Spanos. We can talk about Monfort in Denver. We can talk about who else?
The guy in Cleveland that's wrecked that major
Jim
league
Haslam.
franchise. Well, Haslam with the Browns, but the Cleveland Guardians, a.k.a. Indians, ownership has turned that into a really small market. Pittsburgh's got young draft picks they're forced feeding, but Pittsburgh's history under Bob Nutting is nothing positive. You got the crap in Miami. You got the small-mindedness and small bank account in Tampa Bay. I mean, so there's a lot of owners, a lot of places that aren't doing it correctly. They could be doing it.
Artie Moreno, that's another one.
Well, that's the one that's made a lot of mistakes, but he does spend money.
Yeah, he does.
But we made that list to take up the whole podcast.
It would. Yeah, it would. Okay, let's go here to Mark. He goes, back to college hockey. Denver University has been very, very good in hockey since the 1960s. It has not always been all those other places. In fact, Denver University has won the most NCAA championships, 11. More than anyone else. The NCAA, they also have won 3 of the last 5 years, the championship.
They got a really good coach there who stayed there, turned down chances to go to the NHL. That's done a good job. I mean, the college hockey powers historically were the Wisconsin Badgers, Minnesota. Minnesota Duluth became a power. A bunch of guys in the Ivy League, obviously, led by Boston College, Boston University. And obviously what Denver's done out here by themselves, there's not a lot of college hockey of national note out here. DU's Pioneers are really good, and they're lost in the periphery of a big sports market, which is the Broncos and obviously the Colorado Avalanche and to a degree the Denver Nuggets who won a championship and the Rockies have had success. So they're kind of on the outer periphery of sports interest and coverage, but really, really good program, and their kids get drafted.
You know, Denver University is always the school I sometimes forget about.
Well, that and Colorado College is kind of the same, and they've had good hockey, not to the degree of DU though.
Well, there's another one. There's like a mining college in Colorado.
School of Mines. That's a Colorado School of Mines, but that's more Division II football.
Okay. But in the case of Denver University, I've heard academically that's a very good school.
That's why in the West Coast Conference.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But it's just always, you think about all the, the Big 10 and the Big 12. You think about the Mountain West teams or the Pac-12 teams that have been in Colorado, and we always think of Colorado State, and Air Force. Mm-hmm. And
Denver lives and dies on hockey. That's where all the resources go.
But even from a student academic perspective, I don't really know anybody that's gone to Denver. Although I've heard, secondhand that it's a really good school.
No, you just have to Google. You're the one's got the smartphone. Smart guy.
All right, let's go here to Bill. He goes, hey, New York broadcaster hung up on me when I pointed out that Judge bats .236 in the playoffs since 2017. Plays like Kershaw in the postseason. Oh, well.
Guys have had good careers, but postseason is just a different thing. And, as great a pitcher as Kershaw is, his numbers aren't real good in postseason play, but he had a great career with the Dodgers. And there's such a focal point on Aaron Judge because he's been such a great player. He's probably going to wind up being a Hall of Famer. But, yeah, his postseason numbers are a little bit off the charts in terms of being greatly, greatly successful. He's not the only one, though.
You ever hang up on people when you were doing sports talk?
Not very often, no. But I controlled the content of my show. Inside secret. So they built for me, because when doing sports talk radio, the worst thing in sports talk radio is two people screaming at each other at the same time because the fan can't hear it, can't understand it.
Yeah.
See, that's what drives me crazy on all the TV networks, these panel discussions on the news stations.
Oh, Party of Five on CNN's like that.
And they're all talking at the same time, and they're all interrupting. And you can't disseminate what they're saying.
Right.
Well, when I moved to Phoenix, and then I came to San Diego. So we're building out the studios that we're going to have with all the equipment, the computers, and how you select the phone calls and all that. And I said, I want a foot pedal. I don't know if you call it a squelch, but it would attach a foot pedal underneath that was linked to the board that brought up all the calls. And I'm talking to you, Life of Riley, and you and I don't agree, Life of Riley, and that's okay. And you start yelling, and I start to respond. But I would put my foot down on the pedal, which would squelch your call until I'm done making my statement. Then I'd lift and I'd let you up, and you could say whatever the hell you were going to say.
Free speech oppression. What are you doing? No, actually, that's really smart. That's because, to your point, you're driving down the freeway, and you're listening to the radio. You can't see them. And when people start talking over each other, that's hell.
Well, it's terrible.
Yeah.
My whole theory is quality control.
Yeah, of course.
On television, where the hell's the producer? Control those 5 people on that panel, those dumbasses. Only one person speaks at a time.
Yeah, I've often wondered about that. I mean, they must have like a pregame meeting where they kind of go over the ground rules.
Sure.
To make sure that when the host starts talking, everybody shuts up. Yeah.
And you want to go around the table? You go around the table. Mm-hmm. If we're going to talk about your president and everybody's got an opinion, fine. But you can't have them all talking at the same time. And it drives me out of my mind to watch CNN, MSNBC, and have these roundtables of intelligent people, probably all got something good to say, but I can't disseminate what they're saying because they're yelling at each other. So, yes, you called, and I used the foot pedal on you a couple times. But I did get you on the air.
Yeah, and then, hopefully you gave them a chance to respond after you took your foot off the pedal.
Everybody on my way of doing talk show got about 3 minutes.
Okay. That's plenty.
Well, in your case, you didn't have anything worth listening to after a minute and a half, but I let you go anyhow.
I know. I get a little more grace here since we're in the podcast studio together. Okay, here's a couple other guys talking about other ownership groups. The Pohlads.
Yeah, Minnesota, definitely cheap. Cleveland, yes, definitely.
The Redskins?
Well, they spent a lot of money. Daniel Snyder was a terrible person, toxic workplace environment. Now, the ownership of the Commanders, led by Josh Harris, they're pretty influential, pretty qualitative people. But yeah, Daniel Snyder, but for a lot of other different reasons. He did waste a lot of money, treated a lot of head coaches bad.
Okay, let's keep trucking here. Go to Greg. Hey, Lee and John, Olympics tickets are out of control. As a retired teacher, I cannot afford them. Are they gouging the public?
Hell yes. Only topped by what World Cup is doing. This is going to be calamity in terms of their credibility, because this is nothing more than this. This is a money grab. Holy cow. Will they sell out in some of the markets? Yes. In some of the games, no. And the ticket prices are just outrageous. And in terms of the Olympics, they're having a big problem in L.A. with L.A. 28, which is the L.A. organizing committee, and the city of Los Angeles, which says, we did not agree to unlimited spending, and you can't put us into bankruptcy. There's a huge problem with the cost of everything that needs to be run, from security to construction to events. To I don't know where that's all going to wind up. I was just digging around reading about that on the weekend.
Well, it's true. Like with FIFA and the World Cup and the Olympics, it always seems like there's a little bit of grift going on.
Oh, a little bit, a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and then, you see, like, especially with the Olympics, where they'll build these specialized stadiums for a specialized sport. And then, like, afterwards, you'll see pictures of them, and there's graffiti and weeds growing. And, it's kind of interesting. But in this case here, you always go for the price gouge. You think it's a money grab all the time. I'm a supply and demand guy. There's a limited number of tickets. There's a lot of demand for them, so they should be expensive. There's no constitutional right to be able to go to a ball game at the Olympics, for $10 because you're a teacher. They should be expensive tickets.
You're a capitalist.
Yes, I am.
Lock, stock, barrel, period, exclamation point.
Yeah, you got to pay for those facilities. You got to make this thing work financially. You got to pay for the grift, I guess, too.
Trust me, we've not heard the end of the crisis in L.A. with Olympics 28. Guarantee it. Good point, Greg. Nice to have you on board. Okay, let's probably be our last one before we can fit in. This is from Jorge. Padres might be on a winning streak, but they really haven't played any good teams yet. The schedule's the schedule. You play them, they won, etc. More alarmed by the Pivetta story than I am anything else. Still waiting for El Nino Tatis to start hitting, be a superstar like we think you could be a superstar. So we'll just see what happens. It gets Seattle. Seattle's not playing well. Seattle, that's been of the surprises. Seattle very slow out of the gate. I'm a little bit surprised at that. We'll see what the Padres look like when they get they go against Brian Wu to start this. Seattle's got good pitching. Seattle's not hitting right now, so we'll see what happens with this series. But I'm just hoping that Pivetta's okay. But I just fear when you start understanding the complexities of elbow leads to forearm, and we don't know. Was it a twinge? Was it a cramp? Did he hear something pop? How long has this been going on? I just don't like this scenario.
Yeah, it's concerning.
Yeah.
But right now the Padres are what, 10-6?
10-6.
10-6. I mean, it's the second best record in all of baseball. Granted, they haven't played the Dodgers yet,
they played who was on the schedule.
Yeah.
So be it.
And they're winning the games they're supposed to win. And so usually they would play well against the top teams, but then struggle against Colorado. And here they swept them. But I will say this: when I saw Jorge's comment, it just reminds me of the manager in the movie Major Leagues. Remember when he says, well, you win a game, then you win a second. That's 2 in a row. Then you win a third. Now that's a winning streak.
No, that's the guy that was working in the Toledo tire store when they called to offer him the job, and he told the general manager of the Cleveland Indians, listen, I'm selling snow tires right now. Call me back.
That's just a funny movie. I can watch that over and over again.
Oh, my God, as Bob Uecker would say, just a bit outside.
Yeah, just a little.
Yep. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast. Thank you for helping us get through. We tried to hit a lot of hot buttons because we do sports talk the way it should be done. Hot topics, and then opinions, and then you joining us in Fans Forum. Hope you'll tell all your friends who we are Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Share, subscribe, check my website, sign up for Hacksaw's Insiders Group, and more than anything else, since we do this for free, give us a thumbs up, hit the follow button, hit it a couple times if you want. Give us a 5-star ranking also on Apple. We'll be back here on Thursday. Podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers. Got projects, they got materials. Go to dixieline.com to see all the things they have to offer. don't ever wear silver and black in my studio, even though it's your studio.
I like that. I like the silver and black hair. Do you love it? Had a great one. I got a guy on the other line about some white walls. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for being with us. Have yourself a great day. We'll see you come Thursday. As always, thanks for being part of Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.